Let's talk a little bit about, your teachers have been working on putting what we're calling customized learning in the classroom. Just from your understanding, what do you think customized learning means? Have you seen some changes in the way the teachers are doing things this year?
Yeah, there is a lot of changes between last year and this year. Last year we had everybody would do the same assignment, same classes, same assignment and everything. But this year teachers are giving us more freedom and they're letting us choose our assignments basically.
Also, like in certain classes, in all of our classes, we have 7th and 8th graders mixed. So if maybe you don't understand something and the 8th graders maybe you learned something kind of like that last year, they could explain more to you about that.
So when you say that they're mixed, you're saying that kids may be working at different things, even if they're in different grade levels, you're kind of working on the same kind of materials then? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, do you do a lot of projects with kids, or do you still work pretty independently?
We
Go ahead.
We do quite a few projects together. Like you can choose if you want to do it independently or if you want to do it as a group project. But usually you do it in groups because some of the projects, there's a lot of work. Like with the science fair, you usually want to do it with another person because there's a lot of work to do there.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it comes all back to that freedomness that I'm talking about. Well, the teachers give you the freedom to either work individually or together. It's basically up to the student.
Mm-hmm. So the choices that you get, does the teacher kind of give you a list of things that you can choose, or do you even have freedom to come up with your own kind of project?
You usually can come up with your own ideas, but sometimes they want you to do a certain type of project.
Okay.
For like the science fair, they would give us our freedom to choose what we want to do. If it was like experimental or environmental or something like that, they let you choose it, let the student choose it. So it's a lot of it's.
So when you get a choice like that, does that make it easier or harder for you?
Sometimes it's pretty hard to like choose what you want to do. Like if you don't have an idea of what would be fun for you to do with a friend or your partner, it's kind of hard to choose what you want to do. But if there's something that you're already interested in, it would be just best to choose that.
Yeah.
You were talking about you're working on energy sources right now. Now, do all the students still work on kind of the same content together and you just have different ways of getting there? Or can one kid be working on earth science while another kid's working on biology? Or how does that look?
We usually stay in the same unit. She usually doesn't let kids go ahead.
Okay.
So then when other kids get there, they don't have anything to do.
Okay. So with your customizing then, it's more about the way that you learn it but still everybody's kind of working on similar content at the same time then, is what you're saying. So when you talk about having some choices then, if you are in a subject area that you don't know much about, do you have a different set of choices than if you know a lot about a subject, or is it?
It's about the same, but if you don't know if you only know a little about it, then the teacher will give you some instructions, and maybe she or he will give you some pointers on what to do or what type of projects to give you an idea of what to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if he chooses the groups, he usually sets you with like an 8th grader, in case you don't know a lot about it.
I see. When you have 7th and 8th grade mixed, and so like you're looking at energy sources right now, so is it, now you're the 7th grader, you're the 8th grader, is
Yep.
that correct? So did you ever study energy sources last year, and now you're getting it a little bit again?
Well, last
Or-
year we basically had all of life science, so we learned about like all the life that's in this planet, what makes a living thing, and last year we didn't do any earth science, so this year I guess it's just based on earth science, and I was told by the science teacher that maybe next year they'll do life science.
Mm-hmm. Now, how is it different for you coming from 6th grade to 7th grade? What are the differences you see here?
Last year, like you had like a specific homeroom. You didn't have reading and English were the exact same thing. You had the exact same teacher. You learned all that stuff in one class. This year you have reading, which is separate from English. So instead of 4 classes, there's 5.
Okay. How about for you, even though you were in 7th grade and now 8th grade this year, what are some of the differences you're seeing?
Well, I mean, last year we were following the bells. Like we would have to, if we were late and the second bell rang, we were late, and we would get charged late. But this year we still get a little bit more time than the 4 minutes that they gave us. But we don't go by bell, and I guess it's a little bit better.
So the schedule is a little more flexible, or what's different about the schedule then?
Well, the schedule, I mean, we're 15 minutes, I think it's 15 minutes off the bell, so we're 15 minutes apart from the bell. And it just makes it easier because you have a little bit more room to like go to the places you need to go. Like if you need to go to the locker, then you can go because you have that time.
Now, do you still have a pretty set schedule? At this time you're supposed to be with this teacher and this time with that
Yeah.
teacher? Or do you have some flexible times that you can work on things the way you want to?
Usually it's ICU in the morning. We have it from 8 to 8:15 in the morning, and then 3:30 to 4 o'clock is ICU.
So tell me what ICU is then.
ICU, you have a certain ICU teacher. Like our ICU teacher is Mr. Alexander. He teaches English. So we'll go to him for the first 15 minutes of the day and the last 30 minutes of the day. And that's when you get to work on homework that you don't have done. If you're on the list, you can get that work done.
Okay. So they have a list of maybe kids who are getting behind, or
Like-
is that what you mean? Or?
Yeah, the assignments that you don't have done, they'll put your name, and then they'll put what teacher you're missing it from and what assignment is, and it'll say missing, incomplete.
So with your ICU teacher then, that's where you may want to work with the teacher a little bit on, do you have the flexibility to go to other rooms if you have a question of
Yeah,
not an English teacher, if you need to go somewhere else, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
but you have to have a pass from that teacher that you can go to their ICU.
okay. Now, when you talked about the flexibility of kind of choosing your own assignments and that, is it, I think the initial reaction of people up from outside of this would be, well, then it's just easy for students to just slack off. I'm just going to choose the easiest stuff. Is it that way?
No, because the teacher usually, she allows you to do it, but if the teacher thinks that the assignment is too easy for you, she'll tell you to choose a different thing, or the teacher gets to choose or gives you an idea about what to do.
Okay. So in some ways, the teacher's kind of giving you parameters of how much
Yeah.
flexibility you really have. So
Yeah.
you don't take advantage of it. Okay. Do you have kids who, I assume you have kids that really flourish in this. Do you have kids who struggle with having lots of choice?
Well, on my opinion, there is a couple of kids that, struggle with making their own options on what to do. And sometimes they rely too much on the teacher. But in getting into high school, you can't rely too much on your teachers. So you're basically getting ready for high school here in the junior high.
Okay. Now, do your teachers collaborate much? Do they do things together, or is it still pretty isolated when you go from class to class?
It depends on what subject it is. Like sometimes Mrs. Foosh and Mr. Alexander, the reading and English teacher, will create an assignment together, and then you can work in groups from separate classes. Like we were doing Emmett Till, and we did this project where you had to write about the differences between the 3 books that we read about him. And so you got to do that with a partner, or you could do it by yourself. But both teachers came up with that assignment.
Or just like on the Martin Luther King, the day, the history teacher, the English teacher, and the reading teacher came up with an assignment to do during Pride time. And they came up with like making posters and, learning more about Martin Luther King Jr.
Now, your teachers, in a more traditional classroom, there's a lot of teacher in front teaching you, this is what you need to learn, and then you go practice it. Do you still have a lot of that, or are there other places that you actually get that instruction?
You can get help from your ICU teacher. Like, you don't have to be with that teacher to help you. You can have your ICU teacher help you, or you can go over there and have your teacher help you.
So is the help more like one-on-one or small groups, or is there still instruction where they talk to the whole class?
They can talk to the whole class if everybody doesn't really get the concept of the lesson. But if it's only one person that doesn't get it, they will come straight to you and say, now what do you not get, and what can I do to help you?
Now, when you have your choices within your assignments and things, what are there parameters like this work is a little bit harder, this work's a little bit easier, so you might get more credit for this than this, or how does that work when you choose when you have some things that are easy and some things that are hard?
The credit is basically the same. There's not like an assignment that's worth more points or more of a grade than the other, but the teacher will tell you like what, maybe sometimes they'll list what you can do, and you still have that freedom to choose something from that list.
Okay.
Like right now in certain classes, one of our teachers is trying to get every assignment so it's only worth 5 to 10 points. So then it would be easier to put in the grade book, and you wouldn't have a various amount of different points. So if you got 100% on one that was 5 points and you got 100% on one that was 100 points, there's a big variation of numbers between there.
Okay. So tell me about your relationship with your teachers. Is it a little bit different in this kind of environment?
Carlos?
Well, the relationship between our teachers is just like normal people, basically. The teacher tries to talk to you like they're normal people. They're not trying to like be strict or anything. They're still they have to imply the rules, but they're not trying to be like a strict person. They're trying to talk to you like a normal person.
So do you find that you talk more one-to-one with teachers in this kind of environment? Do you have more opportunities to talk to teachers?
Yeah.
From your standpoint, do you see yourselves having to take on more responsibility in this kind of situation, or is it about the same?
Well, there is more responsibility now that it's customized learning, because you have the freedom to do your own assignment, and your own assignment you have to get it done on the due date, but you chose the assignment, so it's kind of more of your responsibility.
Okay. Do you find it's easy to slack off in this kind of setting?
For me, I usually try to get my stuff done ahead of time, so then if I need to get a couple wrong and that drops my grade down, then I'll redo those so I'll have my grade up, but I'll still be on time with my assignment.
Okay. Do your parents understand some of the changes with the customized learning? What do your parents think about this situation? Or it's not any different to them?
I really don't know. I would never ask my mom and my dad.
Well, my mom thinks it's a lot different, and she thinks it's better because the teachers are being able to be more one-on-one with the student to see if they understand it or not. And it's a lot better to be one-on-one with your teacher, because maybe some kids, they don't ask questions or don't do their homework because they're maybe embarrassed that somebody will say that you're stupid or something because you asked a question. So there's more one-on-one, so it's a lot better.
Okay.
Our English teacher said the only dumb question is one that's not asked.
So do you feel that you have more opportunities to really get to the questions you want to ask?
Yeah.
Do you ever have projects where you say, I want to do this, and it's not something the teacher came up with, and then you can maybe even invite friends in to help you with that project? or are the group projects more teacher directed?
Some teachers will put you into groups, like if they think you can't work with this person because when you're working with that certain person, you don't get enough work done. But if they feel, well, maybe I'll give them another chance to see how they do, and they do really well, they can go on and keep doing projects together, but they have to keep getting their work done.
When you work with 7th and 8th grade kind of combined, does that ever put you on the spot where sometimes you're thinking, well, I don't want to work with 7th graders? Or does it seem pretty natural?
Well, I mean, the first days, you know how that can be. I didn't know. I thought it was going to be the same schedule, same everything. But we ended up doing customized learning and with combined with 7th graders, and I liked it because I had some friends in 7th grade, and I ended up liking it. It's really fun having 7th graders with us.
Okay. How about working with those 8th graders? Is it tough?
No, not really. I mean, they know quite a bit more than we do since this is their second year in junior high. So if you're confused and you're in that group, they can explain what that means.
Okay.
And I have quite a few friends in 8th grade, and most of them I'm related to, so.
So what's the size of a class, like let's say 8th graders? How many 8th graders are we talking about here, and how many 7th graders? Do you know?
8th graders, normally there's like in an English class, I think there's like 6, isn't there? In
Like,
English.
are you talking per class or all
I just wanted
7th
to know,
grade?
like the whole junior high. Yeah.
On my Schoology page, I was looking at it, and it said there's 83 of us in all.
Okay. So with the combined 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you move from class to class, is it always then the same group all the time, or is it mix as you?
It mixes all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like some classes, there will be all 7th graders. Other classes, there will be maybe 10 7th graders and 10 8th graders. Some other classes, there will be way more 7th graders than there are 8th graders. It just depends on which group they decide to put you in.
Okay. Now, your teachers use Schoology quite a bit. I think do you use that as a student? Is that where you go to get some of your assignments?
Yes.
And some of that? Now, you know, in many schools, they don't necessarily use Schoology. It's the category is called Learning Management System is often what they call it. What does Schoology look like? I mean, when you sit down, is that one of the first places you need to go? And what do you see when you get into Schoology?
Well, usually there's a top bar, and it has your name, and it has like your notification. So it can say you got a new grade for English, or you got this grade on your reading test, or this assignment is due tomorrow for science. It gives you all these notifications so you can actually have stuff turned in on time.
Okay. So when you use it, do you actually get your assignments off of Schoology then? Or do you still have a lot of paper things? How
The
does that work?
teachers this year are trying to make the assignments more technologized, but like in our math class, they're still doing it like paper and pencil. We don't really do too much technology in there.
Okay. So it just depends on the content area you're working with.
Yeah.
But most of your classes, though, you get a lot of your work from online then?
Yes.
Okay. So, let me look here. And Paul, feel free to jump in anytime if there's something that I'm not covering or.
I think you're covering it very well.
Do you ever have circumstances where you learn about something online as opposed to the teacher? Where you might hear about a video or read something? How much do you get from the teacher and how much do you get online?
We get online quite often. For math, there's 2 websites that we use. There's Prodigy and there's Dreambox. When you get on Dreambox, there's these questions that you answer. So what's -3 plus 18? And you'd solve that, and if you got it right, you fill up a bar and it unlocks it. And then you go to the next level. And soon you get all of these badges and all these coins, and you can go buy certain things. And then Prodigy, you answer questions, and you're a little animated character, and you go through these different lands and you fight, like, not really, but you battle these other little people, and you're supposed to, every time you get your answer right, you get to choose, like, you're a wizard, you get to choose a certain spell, and you're trying to get rid of that animal.
Okay. Now, some of what you described, it sounded more like practice. Do you actually learn about a new concept with those, or is that more the practice?
No, you can decide, like, if you want to do fractions, if you want to do adding negatives and positives, if you want to do linear equations, if you can choose what you're on, so you can learn different things on those sites.
How about other content areas? Are there other things online that you learn directly from online?
Well, I haven't really looked into it, but our band teacher is teaching us guitar, and she got this new app of, I think it's called Musician, and apparently it's supposed to help you learn guitar.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay. Otherwise, I think that's probably most of the things I was wanting to get to. When we were talking to you about Schoology, what else, are there other things that that you maybe have on your Chromebooks that gives us an idea of what school is like for you? Do you spend quite a bit of time on the Chromebooks, and what else do you use on there?
well, on our Chromebooks, we usually when we get an assignment, we can use the internet to find some answers and help us out if we're stuck. And the teachers give us freedom with our Chromebooks, as long as we're not doing anything, inappropriate for school and stuff like that. We're allowed to use them,
Mm-hmm.
and they really help us with our homework.